Welcome to the first video in the new Author Bootcamp series for the 2026 Atlanta Writers Club Self-Publishing Conference. I'll be your instructor, Tenesha L. Curtis, owner of WriterWorks University, GetBookHelp.com, and WeCanPub.com. The new Author Bootcamp consists of videos, live Q&As, ebooks, and online resources that will help you learn how to plan, write, edit, design, promote, and publish your own work. This first session is titled Intro to Indie Publishing and will provide you with an overview of the indie publication process. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to better understand the full scope of what indie authorship entails and know the major topics we'll be covering over the course of the next 6 months. If you've registered for the 2026 ASPC, you'll get access to the Perk Pack. This is a collection of resources specifically for conference ticket holders. Within the Perk Pack, you will find recordings, transcripts, ebooks, lessons, and links related to the content of each new Author Bootcamp video. You'll also get access to free fiction and nonfiction ebooks, as well as exclusive discounts from professionals in the publishing world. If you haven't bought a ticket for the conference, I hope this video will encourage you to register as soon as possible so you can learn and grow alongside your fellow scribes. But if for some reason you aren't able to register early on, once you do buy your ticket, you can download and view all of the new Author Bootcamp videos via the Perk Pack. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me at Tenesha@atlantawritersclub.org. Now, let's get started with Intro to Indie Publishing. I want to offer a few notes on the mindset of an author. Having a stable, resilient, realistic mentality about being an indie author can help keep you writing and publishing consistently, which helps you sell more books, and even help you avoid being scammed by predatory companies and individuals throughout the publishing world. Before going through the various steps that are part of the indie publishing process, I think it's important to understand what being an indie author entails long term. Publishing your own work is going to take time, effort, and money. You will find authors who have published their first drafts. That happens. This means that they have not spent any time grooming their work for publication. They literally just wrote it and published it. I understand that this is an option. You're an adult and you are in charge of your own authorship. However, in order for you to have the greatest chance of success, a stronger likelihood that you'll produce a book that you'll be proud to confidently sell, and so that you'll have an easier time of building a readership to tap into book after book, I recommend following all or at least most of the steps that I will cover in this video. The most successful indie authors that I've come across understand and accept the idea that it takes a village to publish a strong piece of literature. They know that writing in a vacuum for free is a possibility, but they want something more sophisticated for their own projects. Every author will have various limitations regarding what they can afford to pay professionals to do, what they can do on their own at a high level of fidelity, and what they can reasonably expect volunteers to help them with. This is why every author's journey doesn't look exactly the same. Each lesson that we'll cover in these videos will help you determine which steps will work for your project. Just be aware that, in general, the fewer of these steps that you do, the lower the quality of your finished product. Skipping steps means taking a risk. It's up to you to determine if that risk is worth it. If you're writing a one-off piece and you don't plan on building an authorship, there's less pressure on you regarding much of the ongoing authorship responsibilities related to branding, publishing consistency, and audience relationships. But if your plan is to become a full-time author, like many of the indie folks that I know, then it will help you to view your authorship as a business that you are going to consistently nurture and not a hobby that you engage in whenever the mood happens to strike you. Now, writing as a hobby is a wonderful thing that brings a lot of joy into people's lives. But when you are attempting to financially support yourself with your writing, shifting your mindset to one of a business owner instead of a hobbyist will mean you start this process off leaps and bounds ahead of other writers who are still writing on whims instead of on a regular schedule. One of the easiest ways to get scammed in the publishing industry is to fall for the idea that someone is going to take all these various indie authorship tasks and do them for you like magic. Yes, there are plenty of people who will take your money and often do little to nothing with your project that you couldn't have simply done on your own for free. An example would be running your manuscript through an AI grammar checker, but still having you pay them as if they had a seasoned, style guide savvy human copy editor review and repair the grammatical issues within your piece. When you don't know what normal price ranges are, don't know what questions to ask the potential service provider, and don't know what websites to steer clear of, it's all too easy to get taken advantage of. What we'll be covering over the next 6 months can give you a clearer understanding of how the indie publishing process works so that you can call shenanigans on a scammer whenever you need to in order to keep yourself safe. If you run into someone trying to get you to pay for services you're relatively certain are either free or much cheaper than the price they're asking for, please don't hesitate to reach out to me so that I can help you suss out whether or not you're getting yourself into a dangerous situation. I'd rather have a 5-minute conversation with you that results in you saving thousands of dollars than you go it alone and end up wasting money that could have been spent working with high quality, ethical, seasoned professionals in the industry. To recap, newbies often get taken advantage of because they overinflate the steps in the process and think they can't do them or manage them on their own. This includes believing that they need to pay thousands of dollars for those tasks that they could do on their own for free. For those who would like to eventually become full-time indie authors, approaching publishing with the mindset of a business owner tends to be more effective than viewing writing as a hobby or something that is done only when the mood strikes. It can be tempting to give in to scammers promising you won't have to lift a finger in order to get your book published, so long as you hand them thousands of dollars. But this is a common tactic of con artists. By getting educated about what indie authorship entails, you'll be better equipped to sidestep predatory people and businesses in the industry. So the book development clock, I created the book development clock for the clients I work with who are new to publishing. It allows them to get a bird's eye view of the various steps that are part of the process so that they can better comprehend where they currently are along it and where to go next. In this video, I'll essentially be giving you an overview of the steps noted in this graphic. Be aware that this isn't meant to be an exhaustive list of every possible step that an author could take at their book development process. It's meant to give you a general idea of the most common steps, regardless of the genre or target audience of the book. Planning a book is the act of conceptualizing what you'll be writing. For some writers, this can mean a few minutes of thinking on the way home from work before they begin writing their first draft. For other writers, like myself, this will mean multiple weeks or even months of detailed outlining prior to writing the first word of the initial draft of the book. Still, other authors will land somewhere in between these 2 points. There's no right or wrong way to plan your book. Planning your manuscript is not all that different from planning a road trip when it comes to the kinds of benefits it can provide for you. Someone who knows where they are headed and how they're going to get there is going to spend less time sitting and driving, which is healthier for their bodies. They also will spend less money on gas, food, and hotels because they can get to their destination with fewer detours or unplanned stops because they ran out of gas, took a wrong turn, or ended up in the middle of a traffic jam that a planned GPS route might have taken them around. Similarly, when someone has planned out what they are going to write, they tend to spend less time writing and have more fun doing it. Their first draft also tends to be a lot stronger. On the book development clock, the planning stages are covered between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock. This includes tasks such as creating a brain board, gathering genre-specific templates, creating a premise, crafting a preliminary blurb, and crafting an outline to provide a framework for your writing of the first draft. All of these steps can be completed in as little as a day, especially if you've had your idea bouncing around in your head for a while. Spending a couple of days or weeks planning out what you're going to write can save you thousands of dollars in editing costs and dozens of hours of self-revision time. The planning stage helps keep your authorship profitable in this way. As we go over the lessons related to planning your manuscript, I'll cover the various ways in which you can get a head start on your promotional efforts by gathering followers and readers while you're still solidifying your book idea. Next comes the act of writing your book, including making your own revisions to the manuscript. Depending on the length of your piece, how well you've outlined your work, and how often you write each day, finishing your draft can take anywhere from a weekend to a year or more. One of the major hurdles to new writers finishing their first draft in a timely manner is that they don't prioritize their writing time. During the lessons on writing your book, I'll cover various ways in which people fall into a trap of letting their manuscript constantly get bumped to the back burner. Writing your first draft, doing self revisions, recruiting alpha readers, and purchasing a manuscript evaluation are all examples of the kinds of steps that are included in the writing process. Again, even as you are writing and revising your book, you can be promoting your work and drawing in readers who will be interested in purchasing the final product. Editing and designing a book for many new authors is going to mean hiring professionals. These specialists will assist with developmental editing, line editing, copy editing, book design, cover design, illustrations, and more. This is when you'll start considering what you can afford to spend money on. During these lessons, I will walk you through how to find, vet, and hire talented, ethical, seasoned professionals who will actually do what you pay them for so you can avoid getting scammed. For those of you on more of a shoestring budget, I'll also be covering some lower quality ways of getting similar services completed for less money or even for free. The lackluster quality of the end product is probably going to be obvious to the average reader, to be fair, but if the only thing standing between you and publication is the fact that you're not independently wealthy, I'll show you that all is not lost. Depending on how many of these steps you complete, how long your manuscript is, and who you hire, getting through these editing and design steps can take anywhere from a few weeks to nearly a year. After you have your print ready file in hand, it will be time to get ready for publication and formally launch the book. This part of the process includes purchasing ISBNs, setting up accounts with platforms like Amazon, Audible, and Ingram Spark, ordering author copies of your book, and so on. Even though this is a sort of ending to the production process, remember that you still are going to be selling the book day after day beyond the day you release it. In that sense, it's really only the beginning. Recap. Being an indie author means you're in control of the planning, writing, editing, design, promotion, and publication of your book. This also means that you will be funding all of these endeavors either with your time, your skills, or your money. Planning a book before you start writing helps every keystroke be that much more effective, which saves you money and time on the back end by reducing editing expenses and revision time. Writing and revising a book goes more smoothly when you prioritize your writing and avoid letting a bunch of other non-emergency stuff get in the way of your designated writing times. Editing and designing a book usually means bringing in the big guns and hiring professionals to make sure your book is appropriately prepared to provide an aesthetically pleasing, intellectually satisfying read for your target audience. Publishing your book means putting it on the market for sale, including purchasing ISBNs, launching the book, and submitting things like your copyright registration prior to release. Homework. Now that you have a general idea of what the steps are from concept to publication, get ready to dive into learning more about each step. First, if you haven't already, purchase your ticket to get access to all of the new Author Bootcamp sessions. You can do this by visiting atlantaselfpublishingconference.com to register. For those who have already purchased their ticket, your first task is to complete the author setup steps outlined on the Perk Pack page included with your ticket. Completing these steps will ensure that you hit the ground running as you are working through the various book planning steps I'll cover in the next video. Last but not least, be sure to reflect on what was in this video and keep track of the questions you have. Bring those questions to the live open office hour next week so you can get answers, resources, and support in real time. Until next video, happy authoring.